So we've gone over the front pose before, so now I'll just go straight into the back pose as I do the routine. Pretty much you walk out, usually you just walk out onto the stage, you hit your front pose calmly, turn around to the back, however it is you turn around to the back. Make sure your back is facing the audience or the judges. And one thing that's important when you're doing the back pose is that you always have a larger upper body, a very wide shoulder area in comparison to what your waist looks like. So there's several different strategies to make your shoulders look bigger from the back and to get that really good V taper. One of them is to do what's called a vacuum while you're facing the back. So a vacuum, just to briefly describe what that is when you suck, you push all the air out using your diaphragm from your lungs. And after you push them all out, you suck in your stomach. So you suck your stomach into like your back. You try to make this whole area as flat as possible. And what that usually does is it opens up your rib cage and it forces you to, it hurts. It's something that hurts depending on how long you hold it for. And it does require a lot of practice, but if you do the vacuum right, what you can end up doing is blowing up your upper body while you're shrinking the waist area. So an example of the vacuum just from the front right now is, I won't talk while I'm doing it because it does hurt. So you'll notice what I did was I exhaled everything from my lungs, and then you kind of use your diaphragm to act like you're trying to suck air back in, but instead you block everything out so you can't suck air back in. And what that does is it ends up pushing everything in the stomach towards your back. So you do that while you're facing the back, and you open up your back while it's facing the judges. And the reason why, even for myself, the back pose is one of the most difficult is because, number one, to practice it, there is no mirror. Well, you can't see yourself in the mirror. You can't see your back in the mirror. So you really have to kind of do what's called the mind-muscle connection for you to kind of focus on really, number one, expanding or opening up your lats. Make sure that's big. So you start off with that. You make sure you always make sure your lats are big because that helps to make your waist look smaller. And while you're doing that also, it helps to find a way to stretch your torso up. You stretch that up, open up your lats, that shrinks this whole area to make it small. So it's a combination of stretching this up, pushing this in for the vacuum, and stretching this out, your lats out, while you also flex whatever muscles you have control of around your back to kind of bring in that definition. So as always, you start off with your feet solid on the ground, because if you're not really solid the whole time you're doing it, you're shaking around. So you want to make sure, all my weight right now is on my left leg, and I've got just some of it on my right toe, and I'll just do this without talking. So what you really want to make sure is that the judges see your upper back is as big as possible, your lower back or your waist from the back is as small as possible. And that will give them a very good image of, a good V taper from the back. And it's the same thing you're doing when you're facing the front. So as we spoke about before, you really want to make sure that everything down here is small while everything up here is big. And what helps with that is as you open up your lats and shoulders, and whatever it is you're doing, you flex the core, and that makes your front look like a V taper. So you do the same thing in a different way for the back. The only thing is it requires maybe just a little bit more practice, and the reason that is because you can't see your back in the mirror when you're doing it. So you kind of have to train yourself to know, when I do this, what does my back look like? Take pictures, take videos, just like I'm doing right now, and practice it all the time.